We're live. Here we are. Yay. Woo.
We made it.
Good morning. Everybody hear us okay?
How art thou? It's like this, Ken.
The feel button, thank you so much. I enjoyed the little Falcon amp. I thought it was quite nice. It was pretty good.
Are you considering buying one? Would you buy one?
I've gone back and forth. I think so.
Think so?
Yeah.
Not to put you on the spot.
No, I mean, you know, it's all hypothetical.
I know. Well, that's my thought.
No, I would like to own one.
Yeah.
Because it's different, right?
Yeah.
Like the clean thing, like when it's at like halfway volume,
Yep.
is actually really nice. I think it's different than a Fender. The breakup is definitely different. Some dude said in the comment of the demo, I was reading the comments this morning, which is never a good idea. I was glad I did, though. I had a really kind comment about myself this morning, and it made me feel all warm and tingly. But a nice Australian guy was shut. I don't know his name. But anyways, turn the volume up a bit. We'll tell Derek to turn it up a little bit. But anyways, I liked it because I think the fuzzy thing that it does when it is wide open is interesting. But it's also, I think it would probably be, I didn't try it with pedals yet, but I think it'd be a good pedal platform.
Did you use it with slide?
No, but with that fuzz thing, it would be awesome.
I was going to say, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I could tell that would be, in fact, I might try that today because it would do that really, really well. It's different than a tweed too. It's its own little weird thing. What I like about it though, I like that Gibson. I like the Fender. I like that Gibson didn't make it look like the old vintage ones and then totally change the tonal character.
Yeah.
Like I feel like they figured out a way to keep pretty much the tone of the old ones that I've played.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like even that breakup, like that kind of dark, almost fuzzy breakup is exactly like Baxter's little Skylark. You know what I mean? Like it's the same kind of tone, and it's probably closer to the Supro stuff I've played, than the Fender stuff.
That's
honestly.
really cool, actually. I was gonna ask if you felt like it lived near that Supro.
It lives in the Supro kind of because it's darker. It's a darker.
Yeah, but once it starts to break up, it kind of gets that nice mid dark.
But way more gain than most of the Supro stuff I've played, like in that, you know. And I think the 12 watts is probably they sat in the right. I'm glad they didn't make some weird, like, 100-watt thing to start with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were talking about they wanted 20 watts, 40 watts. I don't know. That's pretty darn good. It's pretty loud. It's got a big box, so it doesn't sound like boxy for an amp that's only 12 watts, I think. Man, and for the price.
Man, that makes me think it'd be cool to see somebody do an experiment with this, where they imagine if you took a Princeton and you put it in a Princeton housing, a deluxe reverb housing, and then a twin reverb housing. Oof. And you record the different sounds based on the size
of the cabinet?
Of the cabinet, yeah.
I think it makes a big difference. Well, I mean, you could do it with just, you know, you could just unplug them, right, and plug them into the same
head,
you know. Well, have you ever seen, this is not what we intended to talk about at all, but there's a Wampler video where he unplugs a bunch of amps and runs them all into the same cab in the closet. Amps that are supposed to be like absolutely opposites. Yeah. Marshalls and a Fender Deluxe Reverb and like all these different things, right?
Yeah.
Dude, through the same cabinet and the same speakers, they all sound remarkably the same. And he was just saying, you know, and it's not like there's no difference, but he was just making the point that the cabinet and the speaker have way more to do with your tone than we probably like to think about. It's probably, and I saw somebody else say the other day that your speaker is the most overlooked part of your tone.
Yeah. Well, have you ever messed around with doing closed back, open back things? I know you used to use like head and cabinet combos, right? Yep. Like so you would run a Bandmaster or something like that, right?
Right.
You ever take the back off and put the back on and stuff like that?
I'm sorry, I must read this. Derek, apparently we are very quiet. If we got a little more gain, but
juice.
Anyways, ask me that one more time, Sean.
Your Bandmaster days, whenever you're using that or any of the, you know, heading cabinets that you use, you ever take the backs off and experiment with closed back, open back, same amp?
Well, so a lot of the time that I was playing in Nashville, like on Broadway, I was using a head with a little 112 cab, and it was one of those Avalon speaker cabs. You remember that company?
Yeah.
You know, they were like, they made the whole thing where you could take one panel off or make it close back, or you know what I mean, half ported or totally open back. I think I'm a fan of open back, man.
Yeah,
I think I just like up. I do think it changes the sound.
Well, we had a Two Rock with a studio signature.
Yep.
We had a studio signature in the shop that had a closed back, and I like the open back more as well because we had two of them side by side. I was able to play them. Open back to me just sounded. It had a lot of. The only way I could describe it is probably like an eeriness to the sound. It didn't sound too bassy or too like mid-bassed pushed, where it's just like womp, womp, you know. So
I mean, I think it's interesting that like the M80s, like the Magneton stuff, even though they're going for kind of Marshall-y thing, open back cabs, and I think maybe that's part of what makes me really dig them. You know what I mean?
You can kind of get the airflow. It sounds like, good. It sounds. It's got a low, like a really good low end, like on that amp. You know, the bass.
I love the new little Marshall JTM Studio. I think we're gonna do a video on that too. Someone sent us that or loaned us that to try. I was impressed, man. We just live in a friggin' world of like there's too many good amp options, sort of at every price point.
Absolutely,
it's almost overwhelming. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I'd be really happy with that Marshall JTM Studio. Like if that was my amp. I'd be super content. If the Falcon was my amp, I'd be super content. Like I could make that. I could live in that world. You know what I mean? I will say this while I'm thinking about the Falcon. I had this thought yesterday. So I taught lessons with the Falcon most of the day yesterday, right? And I had my red telly. I maybe liked it with a telly better than the 335 because it's like a Super. You know how the Supros are way better with single coils?
Yeah.
I was like, isn't it kind of ironic that like Gibsons are so good in the Fender amps? Wouldn't it be kind of weird if people bought the Gibson amps and they were like only playing them with Fenders? I don't know. But,
I think it'd be kind of sick. I think it makes sense too. You know.
So there you go.
For that fuzzed out sound that you're talking about, I'm like, oh, I haven't been able to play it yet. I need to plug.
You should play. You should plug it in today.
Check it out.
Our buddy left it. That was part of the reason he wanted us to keep it all week, so that everybody got time to play it. So play it. But anyways.
Heck yeah.
I think we're working on getting the sound louder. We were trying some new microphones, so you know.
There you go.
Don't worry. Anyways. All right, Sean, what's this crazy thing in front of you?
This crazy thing in front of me is a Space Echo. A rolling Space Echo. I've been lusting after one of these for 8 years and finally jumped and said, I'm going to do it. And I found a really great guy who hooked me up with this amazing piece of equipment. And he
hooked you
hooked me up.
Pretty good hookup, you know.
Amazing dude.
Not bad at all.
Yes. I found him through the Facebook Marketplace, and he had this thing priced on there at a very, very affordable price. And I was like, man. I messaged him.
Affordable for what they go for.
Affordable for what it is. So I talked to him about it, and he was pumped. He wanted to meet up, so we met up and did the trade, and he's been awesome. He ordered me a reverb pan for it just because he said it might have some issues, so he wanted to make sure I was right. So it's pretty cool.
I mean, that is cool that he already had the reverb pan ordered, right? Like the new plate or whatever.
Yeah,
he was sending it to you.
Yeah, he said. So he sent me some videos of him playing it, right? And he's like, I think something's wrong with the reverb,
right? And
then ordered it. So I was like, wow, that's actually pretty cool.
That's pretty good. Now, how much have you used it so far?
A ton downstairs, not on any recordings yet. So I got it last Friday, but I played it a ton. I got a ton of ideas from it. It's sick.
Nice.
It's dope. I'm gonna do the open. I'll open it real quick.
Here's. I got some questions.
Yep.
Do you know what year this one was from?
I believe he told me he's thinking that it's like a 78. He bought it in 84. I haven't looked at any of the numbers. Cool. I haven't looked at anything on it as far as verification with that, just because I'm somebody I like.
Does it hurt to hold it up like sideways so they can see it? Like hold it up like kind of like, I don't know if things fall out or whatever. No. So they started making these in 1974, which is pretty wild, you know. That's okay, Gordon. Gordon's getting ahead of us. I was about to ask this question.
You gotta buy the spare that you're actually gonna use live. What did Gordon ask?
Gordon just said he used his live in the mid 70s, and I was wondering, are you gonna take this thing out and use it live? You know,
personally, yes, I am. I'm gonna attempt to, and we'll see how long it lasts. We talked about this the other day, and I think we came to a good conclusion on it.
Yeah,
is if this were to fail, I think I would buy the pedal as a backup to have. So if I'm on the road, I can just throw the pedal down and be like, okay.
Right. If we tilt it,
oh yeah,
can they?
yeah.
That doesn't like fall out or anything.
Nah.
I'm like, I killed Sean's crazy Space Echo. That would be horrible. Remember the day you killed my Space Echo in the last channel? It just looks cool.
It's great.
Like, I don't know if you can see it right, but the tape is all. I mean, that's just cool, man.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's.
I don't know why it's so cool, but it is, right? Like, you think about a pedal. I mean, pedals are cool, but that's just. I don't know. Well, I don't know why that's awesome.
This has exceeded all of my expectations of this. So I've never been able to play one. I've seen the 501 Chorus Echo. I've seen the Echo Fix stuff. I've been able to play that, which is also where that gentleman ordered the reverb pan from, which was amazing. And I'm just like, I'm blown away. It's awesome. This is one of the coolest things I've ever spent money on. I'm so glad I finally got it. I'm like, oh, I initially thought, because the prices, whenever I started looking at them, they were $800, and I was like, I can't do that right now. I was like just getting out of high school, working all the time and stuff. I was like, I can't really jump on that. So, I waited, and I waited just long enough to see them go all the way up to about $2,000, and then I was like, okay, well now it's like unobtainium for me. And my friend who had this one, he hooked me up once again with a very, very good deal, and he was just an awesome guy about it. So I was able to actually afford it. It was great. So.
Let's see. Tom wants to know if you put it in a modern effects loop, or would you just go straight into the amp?
So I've been going straight into the amp. The preamp on it sounds really good. So I'll even cut off the echo part and just run it through the preamp because it's nice and it's different from that Boss CE1 pedal that I've got, where it has a similar preamp thing. That gets kind of like distorted whenever you get it cranked. This doesn't do that. It's just really like warm. It's got a nice, well-rounded, warm sound.
Well, people have always said from Echoplexes or like the all the old sort of tape echo kind of things. Yeah. There's always the secret. Like Jimmy Page didn't use the echo, but he that was just the secret. Because there weren't pedals the way that we have them. Yeah. Now, so something to juice the front of your amplifier. So I mean, that's pretty darn cool.
Well, and it makes me wonder too with that stuff. After using this, did they do that because it's just easier than unhooking it, hooking back up to the amp? Or they just like, okay, let me cut that off for this song, and they played the song, And it just so happened they were running through this that affected the tone on the other end.
Yep.
Or was it a conscious thought? That's the big thing.
Tim Stelmet, don't tell my secrets. No reason to be calling those things out on YouTube.
Wait a second.
All right, listen, I gotta, okay, here we go. So Clyde Broadway says, the new Gibson amps made by Mesa, terrible build quality for a classic amp. By Swart, Space Tone, they're based on old Gibsons. Built fantastic. Now, my question, Clyde, I'm not saying yay or nay. Why do you think that? Like, have you played the new Gibsons? Because they're pretty new. I thought it looked like it was built pretty well. Now, I didn't pull the chassis out. Seems like it's good build quality. I don't know that I feel like Mesa is not good build quality. So I guess I'm just curious why you would say that. Now, I understand Swart is very good, right? I actually have a Swart right off camera that I'm staring at for a video that we're going to do. So we're going to do a Swart video. And I like the Swart amp.
It's great.
I'm going to say that it blew the Gibson away? Probably not.
Well,
so I don't know, but I know the Swarts are built really well. I love that they're a North Carolina company. I love they're a smaller company. I'm just wondering what your thought on the terrible build quality for a classic amp, like what that is based on. So
which I think too. Me and somebody were talking about this in the shop the other day. They were talking about how it was actually my student Matt, I believe. He had brought it up to me. There's he's been looking at Princeton's, playing through a bunch of different Princeton's, trying to kind of sort out what he wanted, right?
Yeah.
And he said that somebody, he was talking to a guy who was an amp tech, and he was like, all the new amps are built with the PCB boards, and they suck, and they're terrible, and, they'll kill you, or, like, just all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And I told him, I was like, I've played mainly reissues my whole entire guitar playing experience.
They're for sure different, right?
Yeah.
And
I'll give you that. It's different. I don't know... I don't know if it's enough to be like, oh, this is terrible. Like, I'm just kind of.
We've had a lot of cool old amps lately, and when you look at them, they kind of look like they're gonna fall apart. Like they don't look very robust when they're point to point hand wire. I mean, like, It's just different, man. And like Clyde says, because mesas are built terribly, ask any amp tech. I don't know that I'm with you on it, Clyde. I just don't know. I don't know that I can agree with that. And I don't care. Like, we're not a Gibson dealer, so it's not like we're like, oh, defend Gibson at any cost because we're going to lose money.
No.
Because we're not.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I don't know if I buy that. I got to kind of trust with what I'm seeing when it's here.
And it's also trusting your ears, too, you know? I feel like we're in a unique position to be able to play it. I'm excited to hear it because looking at it, it looks great, but I'm a sucker for like vintage looking hang tags and stuff. Whenever they have a well packaged thing, I'm kind of like, man, that's beautiful.
And is that marketing? Yes.
Yes, it is. And
is it
works.
Awesome? Yes. I don't know, man. They did that same weird marketing in the 50s, right? Like when you look at 50s marketing, it's like straight propaganda. You know what I mean? It's like women will love you. Like, there's like a lady on there smoking a cigarette. You know what I mean? It's like.
It's like the Fender thing, right?
Nothing's changed much. Yeah.
You'll never part with yours either, and you're like surfing.
Right. Yeah. So whatever. I'm not to single you out, Clyde. I appreciate you watching. I'm just saying. I just think that's a funny. I don't know. It's just odd. Yeah. But anyways,
I kind of view it. It's cool to voice the opinion, and to have the conversation because it's worth having.
Now, do I kind of think maybe it would be cooler to have an old one? Yeah, probably. Yeah. Honestly, the new one probably sounds better. I mean, it probably just does, right? Unless that old one is just literally in a time capsule and never been used or played. You know what I mean?
And then in some cases, as you know, with vintage stuff, if it's never been played, that might be a negative.
Well, that's bad too. I'm talking about like you literally go back in time and you pluck a brand new one off.
Yeah, you can just be like, boom. Yeah.
Sometimes you play vintage ones, and we talk about this in guitars. I don't know if people say it about amps as much. Sometimes vintage amps suck. Like I've played like vintage, like expensive deluxe reverbs that sounded like not good. And they needed a speaker or they needed caps or something, right? But like sometimes they're just different. The values of the parts were different, and some of them just aren't good. Some of them are magical, and a lot of them. Now I think probably more vintage amps are good than vintage guitars, but on the whole, is something about vintage amps where they seem to have lost that like weird high-end spikiness that you get in the new ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know if that's an age thing or how they built them then or the parts then. I don't know, but there is something about that with like old amps that I've noticed.
Well, for me personally, I've maybe only played one vintage Princeton that I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
Like I want that,
I played a lot that I was like, what is happening? Like this is bad, and that goes to like if it's been taken care of, but also there's some I didn't realize there's Princeton amps that didn't have reverb in them.
Yep.
And closer to the 72 mark that they're just clean all the way up. We had a guy bring one in and he had redone everything in it. We turned it all the way up clean, like dead clean, like gross clean, like not good clean. It was weird,
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird. It's just weird. It's an odd. This whole gear, old, new. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It's
all over the place.
It's just weird. My wife told me that I don't need another Falcon amp. That's funny, and I'm sorry, John. It's probably true, but still. Do you think 2-Rock bought Divided by 13 to make a budget 2-Rock? Nope. No. In fact, I know that's not true. Yeah. I don't think you'll ever see a budget 2-Rock.
I don't think so.
I just don't think that's in the cards for them.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably for the best. I think they're gonna keep making Divided by 13. Mm-hmm. That's not gonna be budget either. If anything, it's probably gonna be more high end now.
Yeah.
They're probably gonna make they make them exactly the same. They were already really good amps, but I think they're gonna carry on pretty much the way they were, just under new management and ownership.
I could see 2-Rock just trying to scale them up some, and make it to where maybe there's a little more uniformity, which is cool.
Gordon says he's played custom shop Fenders that were garbage. Any guitar can pretty quickly go to garbage.
Well, it's funny, we were...
I've played some custom shops that, I thought, oh my God. Now, you think about it, like, we've got 40-something custom shops in the shop.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you how many come through because, we're constantly getting custom orders for customers that never go on the website, that are never for sale, right? They're already sold. I've played maybe... So we're talking hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the 7 or so years that I've been here.
Yeah.
I've maybe played 2 that I opened the box and thought, I don't love this. And they still weren't horrible guitars. Yeah. But now I've gone into other shops or played people's personal ones that I hated, including mine occasionally. But it's because, I think it's because, they sit, no one's ever set them up. The frets get nasty. The frets are sharp because they've been sitting in weird humid. I think it's that more often than the custom shop made a bad guitar. So
I definitely agree. I was telling Jonathan earlier this week I was going to trade my guitar in maybe for another Strat because I thought it played better. And then I went home and put in probably an hour and a half into this thing, just cleaning it up, setting it up, hitting all the frets, doing all the things I probably should have been doing for a bit. I had done it before, but just didn't take the time to do it recently. And it actually changed my whole entire opinion of the guitar. So now I'm back in love.
While you're holding yours, tell us about it. What year is this spec?
So this is supposed to be like a 66.
66?
Yes. Transition.
Sean, you devil.
That's right.
You devil child.
I would have never liked a big headstock.
6 strings, 1966.
That's right.
I don't always love the big headstock. I really like it on this guitar. I don't always love the gold anodized pickguard. But on some guitars, it just works, and I think it just works on yours.
I know, yeah. At first, you
switched it for a while.
I did, yeah. It was mint green for the longest time. That's what it had on when I got it, and this was in the case, because this is what came on it, and I was like, I'm gonna put that back on it for a bit. So I did.
That's a few screws. Oh no, they're there. They look like they were going for me.
They're all rusted out.
They're just rusted. Let me ask you a question. Do you feel like you can tell a difference with the different pickguard, like noise wise? Because I know the anodized is supposed to be more shielded, right?
So that goes to the setup thing that I did, right? Because I was really not loving it. I had swapped the pick guard. I hated it even more. But it was because I went back through and I adjusted all these screws again. It was like rattling, and it had like some weird noises to it. Like if I would hit the low E, or it was actually a G note. If I played a G note anywhere, it would go like you could hear it. So I had to go through and kind of just hit all the screws and find where it was just enough space that it was vibrating like that.
Which is really weird that happens, but it does. People are asking if it's a legit 66. Sean's not that rich. He's only a little rich.
It's a custom shop.
It's a custom shop.
In there, wherever it is.
But
That's right.
So yeah, custom shop. It's a good one. Let's see. JR, you should try one of those Michael Kelly hybrid things. I mentioned semi-hollow Bucker's piezo style pitch, but I actually owned a Michael Kelly hybrid for quite a while. And I had this weird rig where I had a volume pedal on the floor and then a splitter. Well, it has the Y cable, right? So the Y cable was going into one side, the electric side was going into the volume pedal, into my electric pedal board, into an amp. The right side was going into a direct box for the PA. So the acoustic sound I had always on, and then I could swell myself into like the dirty tones for like a chorus or something, or like distortion or electric sound. And it was like, it actually was a cool setup. The guitar was not as cool as the setup that I wanted it to be, right? Like I still feel like no one's done the hybrid thing perfectly, like where it sounds good in both ways, because that was a lot of fun to play with that. And I was playing in churches a lot at that point. And so it did all the things I sort of needed it to do. But the guitar, I just didn't think the guitar was that great. I could never get it to stay in tune, man. I tried new tuners. I messed with the nut. I put on a new nut. I just did all sorts of junk, constantly setting it up. And I just could never get it to be right.
At the end of the day, it just wasn't the thing.
But it, if I could have gotten it to do that, tonally, it was maybe my favorite of all the even the higher priced Acoustasonics and T5s. It was a cool guitar.
So with your setup, with a setup like that, I've been in situations where I try and set something up like that I feel like is really clever, and then I get all the way done with the setup, and then I just kind of feel disappointed because it couldn't live up to my expectation. Do you feel like that is the common place that you come to where you're like,
well,
I wanted it to be that much better.
Here's a great. I'm gonna give you. So in that situation, right? Like that setup didn't really move. It was in the same room because it was in a church. You know what I mean? So I wasn't dragging that out anywhere, right? You know what I'm saying? So that won't. But even most recently, I was trying to drag out a Magnetone Twilighter and a Magnetone Super 15. First world problems, right? And split them and run them in stereo and be able to go back and forth. you know, and like the last time I did it was at a brewery, right? And you just have to get there so early to really like
Get it
make
right.
sure the levels are right. And then as soon as the band starts playing, what you thought were the right levels. So every time I find that I do something like that, for a while in Nashville, I bought a Vox AC-15 and I had a deluxe reverb and I was going to run them in stereo. And then I was like, man, I don't want to drag this out and do it every time. Because, yes. So the short answer, I think most of the time.
I was going to say,
yeah.
I've tried to run stereo rigs at home just for, like, fun. Like, just to see if I can make it work and make it sound really good. And I'm always just disappointed. The only stereo rig that I run that I have been like, man, that's great. I'm glad I did that. Is my keyboards into my PA. That's literally it. Because I can, like the ping pong effects and stuff like that actually feel right. It's like, oh, okay, cool. The delay is doing what it's doing. Modulation is doing what it's supposed to be doing.
Well, like that's cool, right? Like when I was trying to run the Deluxe and the Vox, it was because I was like, they're different EQ profiles, so they're going to like fill each other out. And then even more different with the Super 15 and the Twilighter. Like I didn't really care about a Twilighter stereo because I don't really care about being a stereo with the same sound per se. Like I wanted a dirty thing and a clean thing that I could have all together or separate. Yeah. I don't know. I've never been as happy, really, honestly, from electric guitar standpoint, as just like one awesome amp turned up, a few good pedals.
Here's what
that's amazing,
You know what I would like instead? And I was thinking about this, like imagine you're in the arena setting and you can have any amp setup that you want. I would want to have something Voxy, something Marshally, something Fendery. Like I would want to have a lot of options, but I would want to be able to only play one at a time. Like switch them one at a time to the amp to have that sound. Delicious.
When you have long hair and you try to drink things with catchy things that catches your hair. Now that's what you just said would be my dream, because like that's like the Mike Campbell kind of thing, right? Like 15 like weird little small tubes. The thing about that, right?
15 and 15.
But like that would be a nightmare for your own band. But hey, you're Mike Campbell and you got the same front of house guy every night, and he levels everything at front of house because they're all mic'd. And all you got to do is hit the button, and your sound is there for the tweed. Then your sound is there for the weird little magnetone. Then your sound's there for your weird little, Prince. I mean,
and they're dialed in, dude.
That would be magical. That of all the rigs, I'd like to play that rig because I think that would be fun. But somebody said on here, if you crank your mono amp loud enough, your ears think it's stereo. I mean, that's kind of true, right? Like when it's right, stereo.
It's true. It's true.
But that's it. That's
Thunderdome, 2 rigs enter, 1 rig leaves.
All right, so we've done we've talked about our nerdy gear things. Let's talk about current events, Sean. Did you guys see I don't know if you keep up with the old Grand Ole Opry. I don't know if anybody's lives in the country music world enough for this, but we had
nothing that happened there was country that night, Jonathan. Sounds like punk rock.
Hey, it was very country. If you know the history, pretty country. Some outlaw things. So you want to be the first that got kicked out or banned from the Opry.
I just feel like it's not as like, I don't know. I feel like if it's country, it's like the good feeling to where like this seems like a little more punk ass.
Okay, so my wife sent me this because my wife keeps anything that's like gossipy. My wife, she's on it. She's ready. The tea, they say, spilling the tea.
She's great about it. She was deep in the Harry Styles, Taylor Swift. I remember when that was
going on. She loves Harry Styles. Like, if there was ever like Harry Styles walked by her and looked at her sideways, it'd be over for me. In fact, one of her friends bought her this like sweatshirt the other day with like Harry Styles tattoos, and I was like, I feel slightly disrespected, but it's
what are you perpetuating right now? Are you trying to get my?
And I tried to say, I was like, listen, if I was really into some like female person, and I wore like their paraphernalia,
you're not allowed to say that. You can't bring up the comparison.
anyways, getting derailed. Anyways, my wife is wonderful. I love her very much.
She is. Kristen's great.
She buys me musical things. It's fine. What was I gonna say? Oh. So, anyways, we're talking about Elle King. It was. She's the ex. She used to sing that song. X's and O's. That's the only reason I know who she is. But she's been on stuff, and she's somebody's daughter who's kind of important, I think.
BB King. Yeah. I'm joking.
No, I don't know if you know who it is. Tell us in the comments. But I forgot.
I know what you mean though. Yeah, I forgot. I feel like it's somebody.
Every time I hear that, it surprises me, but I never remember. Yeah. Anyways, she's at the Dolly Parton birthday celebration at the Grand Ole Opry. And if you know anything about the Grand Ole Opry, like it's like lemonade and cookies backstage. They're not drinking. Like, in fact, you know, the Ryman used to be where the Grand Ole Opry always was. There's this alley between the Ryman and like where Tootsie's and all the little honky tonks are. And the dudes like Hank Williams or whoever would sneak across the alley, go to Tootsie's, drink, and then go back to the Ryman to be at the Opry, which I think is kind of fun. But anyways,
it's a cool history to that.
There's some really neat history to that whole thing and how the Ryman got there and why it's the mother church of country music and all that stuff. Then they built Opryland, blah blah. Doesn't matter. So Elle King gets hammered before she goes out on stage, and she lets them all know Rob Schneider. That's whose daughter she is. Isn't that wild?
I was thinking Rob Schneider, but I was like, I'm going to sound like a fool on this live stream knowing that it's probably not Rob Schneider.
Yeah.
That's
and I love
hilarious.
Rob Schneider. God bless him. But anyways, and I always think of the, what's the movie where like he has the daughter that looks like him and then the super hot daughter?
Oh, Grown Ups. Yeah, where it's like the daughters are really hot and then
where they go to the camp. Yeah. And she shows up and they're like, what? You know, anyways. Totally doesn't. But anyways, so she gets up, she tells him, she's like, I'm effing hammered. And it says all these crazy things. And the poor girl, whoever the girl is with her, is like, hey, Elle, how about we do what you're doing? She's trying to stay on scripts. Doesn't go well. There's a bad interaction with the audience. The Ryman is issuing an apology. So she's banned from the Opry for life.
So this is the punk ass part of it, right? Is that she's up there screaming at the crowd, telling them,
you're not getting your money back.
You're not getting your money back. That's how it is. I'm drunk. They don't want to hear my song.
So here's the question, right? Sean, you go to a show at the Ryman, honoring one of the greats, Dolly herself, the queen. Some folks, arguably.
Her birthday.
For her birthday.
Her personal birthday.
Does anyone not love Dolly Parton?
I've never heard a bad Dolly Parton story.
She gives books to children. She like bought everyone in her hometown like houses after that fire.
She made her own Disney World. Dollywood, dude, come on.
There's a roller coaster on the side of a mountain that's great.
Sidebar on Dolly Parton real quick. My high school principal was the leader of the Dolly Parton fan club.
Of course he was.
I mean the national Dolly Parton fan club. I don't mean like the little like high school one. I mean like the real one, the big one.
Legit Dolly Parton fan club.
He went to Dollywood for his honeymoon. He said he's been like 12 times or something like that. It was insane. I was like, okay, looking at him, you wouldn't have guessed it. Big old 300, 400 pound dude. Really, 9 to 5, really respectful,
baby.
But like Dolly Parton. Dolly is
coat of many colors.
You know who isn't respectful?
Elle King.
Okay.
So like,
it's your birthday, Dolly. Let's get fucking drunk.
Well, I feel like some of this is generational, right? Because if I'm there for that, and I paid the $300, apparently it was like $300 for a ticket, I'd be like, man, I'm glad we got to see this live. You know what I mean? Like, because people are gonna talk about this. But I feel like if you're a little older than me, you're like, and I get it, right? Like if you want to be there and enjoy the Opry, and it's like the time-honored tradition. So there's a part of me that says, "Oh, this is horrible and sucks."
Well, you and I are very similar. If you're going somewhere for something like that, whatever you're doing it for the experience.
Yes.
And if that's a part of the experience, to me, I feel like I just got something extra unique. So I'm like, this is great, in like in a way where I can be like, I was there, I saw it.
Well, so what I haven't heard Dolly come out and say anything. I feel like Dolly would be like, "It's okay, sweetheart. Bless your heart." I feel like that's Dolly's
little too much.
We've all done it. Well, I haven't done it because I'm perfect, but everyone else has done it. You know what I mean? I feel like Dolly would say that.
She'd be like, I feel
like Dolly's full of grace and mercy. Yes. But I don't know. Is there any coming back? Is this good for Elle King? Is it because God knows no one's been talking about Elle King, and suddenly we are.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, it's like you said, right, about the outlaw thing, about the country thing,
right?
Is there something a little rootsy about it where it's like, hey, we're going back to what it was, enough of this pretend. I don't feel like Dolly Parton is the person to go against. I would wait until, I don't know, Luke Bryan's playing the
Well, I don't think she went against Dolly.
Oh, I don't think so either.
You know what I mean? I think she, in her defense, I think she just, who let her go out there? Who didn't say,
that's
hey,
the better question.
Maybe you're not feeling well. Said this one. There's I've been in the back of the night Ryman. There's nice dressing rooms. They could have put her on a couch.
Lots of them too. They're like,
it said, oh, sweetheart, you're not feeling good. Oh, just close your here. You know, I don't understand like why that happened in some ways, but. And here's the thing about Nashville, right? Like people are always bitching about Nashville and like people not keeping the spirit of country music.
It's
and
a tourist thing now.
And well, I mean, it is, and I hate that, right?
Yeah.
But when you look back, you know, to the 70s or whenever, nobody wanted all the people that we revere now, like Waylon Jennings, like the outlaw stuff. They didn't get to play in the Opry. That's why they went to Texas. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were like shunned, and Nashville was very like proper.
Yeah.
And it was very poppy, kind of like country.
Like whenever you
even
come
back
here,
then, right? You know,
yeah.
Right? You know, and they were always very two factions. And now the people who got shunned, all the people at the Opry are like, oh, my heroes, Waylon and Bub and Willie, and you know,
it's like, well, they weren't allowed in.
So it's just this funny cycle that it's always sort of been the same. Now, do I love modern country? In a word, no. No, I don't.
To sum it up to a phrase, no.
I kind of dislike it a lot. Most of it. There's some good stuff.
Well, that's where I say, like, I could get it if it wasn't Dolly Parton's birthday. Like I said, if I was there and it's Luke Bryan's event, and I'm going out there and I'm like, I don't even know what the hell I'm doing here.
Or even what's his name? And Luke Combs, who you know, of other the modern songwriter, like new guys, like his songs, pretty good, yeah, pretty cool.
I would go out there though, and I would probably show my ass at that event. But I don't know, it's Dolly Parton's birthday.
The only thing I sort of hate about it, right, is you know at the Ryman and the Opry, especially when it's at the Ryman. You know, and I get on my soapbox about the lack of respect and for tradition and like things in our society, but I kind of hate that, right? I do feel like there's some things you take a little seriously just because it's a tradition.
It's tradition.
I don't know.
I can get behind that, you know. I was thinking too, you know, if she feels bad about it, Elle King, you know, also. Jerry Lee Lewis got banned.
I mean, I think it was one of those things if she came out like that and said some funny things and then crushed it. But I don't think that's what happened.
Both know. We know.
Then you kind of feel like, okay, well, that's just me being a rock star. I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
I'm going to play X's and O's now. Yeah. That hit song from 2016. It's like, oh.
And she's got songs since then. There was a couple songs that she did with, if I'm not mistaken, she had one with, what's his name? Still got a lot of leaving left to do guy. Dierks Bentley. She had a hit not too long ago with Dierks Bentley. I mean, it's still longish ago. 5 years, probably. 6. I don't know. I don't keep up with it the way I once did. So.
There you go.
Anyways.
I mean, you know, it's cool, though. I don't know. Cool. I think.
She sang on Riser?
I think so. She sang on... There was some duet they did. But maybe. You know, I don't know.
Is that a Dierks Bentley song, Riser?
Yeah.
Really?
I'm pretty sure she sang on some stuff with him.
Where do you think Dierks Bentley falls? You think he falls on more of like is he closer to Florida Georgia line? Or
no.
Is he closer to like
she
Blake
had
Shelton, I guess, right?
Song that Dierks did called "Worth a Shot."
Maybe.
Different for girls.
It's different for girls. That's the one I'm thinking about. It's different for girls. No, Dierks Bentley has always had like this like bluegrass sort of influence in his songs. Like you listen to all the dobro and instrumentation.
Yeah.
And I used to hate having to learn some of them because some of them have these weird kind of changes. It's hard to hear on the way the records are like mixed, you know. But I used to know a lot of his songs. And you could mash up a lot of leaving left to do with Are You Sure Hank Done It This Way? I never want to do either of those again. But hey. Whatever makes you happy. Whatever makes people happy. But some of the Dierks songs are really fun. I used to have to play that one 5-1, 5-0. So yeah.
No good. That one.
That was probably my lead. I mean, now here's the thing about it. Here's maybe another interesting topic, right? For those of you who play live, people will complain about a song like that, or complain about a song like Luke Bryan's song like "Country Girl Shake It For Me" or something, or like "Cruise" by Florida Georgia Line, or "Wagon Wheel." Prime example, right? Yeah. But hey, when you're in a bar and there's like 1,000 people and they're all paying attention, screaming with you and having fun,
changes your attitude a little bit, maybe.
I cannot say I didn't have a ton of fun playing like 5-1-5-0 in those situations, and I did that a lot. And so I don't know. I think if you say, "Man, I just hate this," you're either lying or there's you need to check out your depression quotient.
Well, and it goes to like what you're saying about some things are serious, some things are just fun, like.
It's just fun.
It's just fun.
That what's that dumb You're like, I mean, there's so many songs like that we used to
Well,
play
that's what
that
I
were
was
just
gonna
dumb,
say.
that were just, but they're just fun, man. And people want to hear them.
Any cover song that I could play, any song in general that I could play, even if it was something that you wrote and you just, you know, you got to play it every night. Some people say it's like it's the worst thing ever. Oh my god! But also, it's like you can bring that joy to people like that and see people come together. That's got to be something that's really cool, you know. It's just my thought.
Ned said, "This is too good one to let it go." He said, "Another guitar player friend came to see my band once, and his remark was, they're drunker than I am, but they're trying."
That's pretty good.
The trick is that when the crowd brings you drinks, you just like find somewhere to dunk them. You know what I mean? You pretend to drink them because you want the bar to keep making that money. But there is a point. When I was a very, very, very young musician, and I was first starting to like get gigs, I was playing for this girl out down near Charleston, but she played a lot in like Beaufort, South Carolina, and like different places. And I was working for a guitar shop, and I had never seen like a really, really nice Gibson in person before. You know, I was younger than Sean is now, but we got this like custom shop like Les Paul Jr., like black with the nice tortoiseshell pick guard and the pink case when you open. I was just like, oh my lord. And we didn't have guitars like that in this guitar shop at all. That dude, he was crazy and a little shady, but he was pretty good to me in some things. He's like, take this guitar, man, and gig with it this weekend. And I was like, okay.
Oh.
So I probably take it, you know, a few hours away with this girl that I used to play for. And I wasn't even 21, but I'd get in these places and play and do things I shouldn't be doing and all sorts of stuff. But
because he was a badass. He still is a badass.
I was up there trying, but I was like Elle King. I was like, I'm effing hand. And, you know, you think when you're young that, like, you play better that way. It's not true. But I remember this one club, it had these stairs going down the side of the stage. Pretty steep stairs, right? And the stage was up there, and, like, it opened to the back, and it was, like, the water. It was in Beaufort. And I remember thinking, wow, I should not have had those last few shots, maybe. You know what I mean? And I got this guitar that is not comfortable. It's not, like, familiar to me yet. And I'm worried about it because I know it's really expensive. And it's like I'm getting kind of paranoid about the whole thing. And I go to get off stage, and I don't remember if it was a break or what, but I start to fall down those stairs, and I got that guitar on, and I'm thinking, oh, Jesus, help me, you know. And I remember just holding that guitar up and, like, closing my eyes and praying and bouncing down those stairs and landing. And the guitar up. And after that, I was like, maybe the drinking should be after the gigs, you know?
And this is a really specific question. Was the strap pin on the back or on the horn?
I don't remember.
I was gonna say because there's nothing more horrifying because I've been in a similar situation before with my own guitar, but having that front strap on, I got really wasted and almost fell off a stage one night in the same thing because it was down, but it was like hanging, so it just like slung around me. Yeah.
I mean, you know, and most people, you have that situation, and it's good if you learn. And you're like, yeah, well, but some people just don't seem to. They don't get that. You know, the lesson is there, but they don't learn.
They're just like, I just keep getting hammered.
Well, you know,
I don't
why
know
do these things always happen to me?
I don't know anybody like that. Do you?
No, I don't. Anyways, dudes, the Paisley Gretsch was behind last vid. Sold, if no. We do still have. We had 2 of those guitars. We did sell one, and so the one that was behind us, we actually moved over to the shop. So it's there, and I believe those are. Do you remember how much those are off the top of your head?
$34.99.
Yep, right, $3,500. So there you go. It should be on the website. If not,
I believe it is.
or either way, just call the shop.
I think it's got photos on it too. Yeah.
Those are good guitars, man. There was a demo I did with that guitar and a pink Strat where I was playing the chord things with that guitar and the Bigsby, and then the lead stuff with the Strat. God, it just sounds great. And I have obviously I've got my Falcon, but yeah, it has not relieved my hankering for a Penguin as well.
I mean, Penguins are just cool. Falcons and
Penguins are cool, man. Somebody sent me. I think it was our friend Rusty sent me a picture. He's got a shell pink master, like a custom shop Penguin.
Yes.
My God, like it is.
All I'm hearing is yes, dude.
It's amazing, you know. He's like, you know, I want to see your Falcon. Send me a picture. I was like, well, my Falcon just looks like any old Falcon. I mean, not really, but
Well, this is gonna be a dumb
Yeah.
question. If you owned one of those, would you want to own a Les Paul?
Yes.
You need both, right? In my
I
mind,
don't
I'm
need
like,
both.
Well, you know.
I don't
what
have either
mean.
one right now.
You know what I mean.
I mean, I think they're just different, right? Like
Yeah.
the Filtertrons are so Filtertrons, man, are like I think they're really underrated pickups because they can do the gnarly, like overdriven, like rock and roll thing, and it's not the same as like a bluesy, like singing tone. It's like the rock and roll thing. It's friggin' Malcolm Young. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I took it. You know, I had the Falcon. I did a live recording with my buddy Robbie Cummings a few weeks ago, and most of it I played the 335.
Yeah.
I never ended up touching a Fender just randomly just for the songs we were doing. But I did switch to the Gretsch for a few songs, and there was one where it got kind of like we were rocking pretty good, and so I kicked on like the Little Red Llama, which is that nasty like tweed kind of overdrive, and I had the Gretsch, and everybody was just like, "Whoa, like do that more," you know. They just sound good, and then they do the weird chimey like pretty thing.
Yeah.
The Filtertrons are just. In fact, we have two tellies with Filtertrons, a sparkle purple one or a black one, both thin line. They're some of my favorite custom shops we have right now.
They're pretty cool.
With the TV Jones.
I mean, they look really good too.
They look very, very cool. So, you know, but so to answer your question, to me, the PAFs do a totally different thing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like when I was doing the live recording, I was going back and forth between, you know, the 335 with PAFs. But both, I mean, obviously the Falcon's totally hollow. 335 semi-hollow. But I was going back and forth. Yeah, there's a really, really noticeable difference.
That you ordered that set of PAFs from Gibson, what guitar are you going to put in there?
My telly. I'm going to round my telly.
You guys didn't know Johnny had a grand just waiting for these PAFs.
Just in case this day ever happened.
It's like,
That's
I'm going to need to set this to the side.
Okay, listen, I'm just gonna say that ever since I bought the hot noiseless Jeff Beck set of pickups from Fender, like in the early 2000s, that was my last pickup swap. I was like, it doesn't matter.
You know, I don't really swap pickups either. For as much chinkering as I like to do,
you're a tinker. It kind of surprises me. I swap pickups when a pickup dies, or I mean, like, because usually if I pick up a guitar and I don't like the way it sounds, I'm not usually thinking, man, I'll just grab this guitar and then put pickups in. I don't know why that's not my mentality. And I have great friends who that is their mentality, and it works great for them. But I don't know. Well, I'm always get that like don't let the magic smoke out, right? Like if something's right, leave it alone, you know. And so now my custom shop telly, here I'll grab it.
Grab it. We're doing custom shop day. I mean, I'll tell you this too, just to put this out there. I wouldn't change the pickups and probably even a Made in Mexico Strat, to be honest. Right off.
Well, because you either like them or you don't. So here's my telly. You guys have seen it before, but I love the pickups in this thing, right? Like, so it was a 51 no-caster and a twisted telly in the neck. But, you know, and you can see, man, I just sweat all over this stupid thing when I'm playing. But, I wish I had the pictures of the pickup I took out. It was destroyed. And this one is all nice and shiny again. But the pickup just got where it never sounded right in the bridge position. Yeah. And I used to live on the bridge position, you know? So, a guy who watches the channel, Sanchez Pickups, I cannot say enough good things about them. Go try them out. He sent me a set just to try. And they sat for months. And then finally I thought, you know what? This is not doing it.
Well, I know you went back and forth on it too, because it is a hard decision. I would struggle to do that.
Especially on like a custom shop. This is the first custom shop I ever had. I mean, you know, and but
I will say once you swapped it, it's the same thing like with the frets. You got that done and you're like, all right, this is great.
Because that's, you know, this guitar is the most I've ever bought in anything. Because I had to put an Emerson wiring harness in it because I finally got to the point where, you know, it was like bleeding deoxys. It was just always, you know, nasty. So put an Emerson harness in. That was the first thing I did. I've had to switch the saddles 2 or 3 times.
Well, I was gonna say, I wanted you to talk about that to maybe showcase. It really is a utility thing. It's like once it stops working, my frets were just worn to nothing, so I had stainless steel frets put on. And then lastly, and I don't sweat here. You know, I sweat here, so. I can't imagine really honestly taking out the twisted telly because I love that pickup in the neck. But this thing, man, I think this is called, I should know that exactly. But Sanchez Pickups, Sanchez, I think. Man, so can't say enough good things about him.
was kind enough to send me, and I've had them in for a while now. I just haven't really. I think we did talk about it when I did
a year, right? Maybe.
More. Yeah. But I hadn't even thought, because I thought, hey, because I didn't know anything about them, right? So I thought, well, I'll try it, and if worst case, I'll order a Lawler or something, that I love, because I do really like the Lawler special T telly pickups.
Killer.
But anyways, yeah, I love this, so there's no reason to. Again, there's no reason to change it. I put it in, was happy, hadn't messed with it since.
Well, and two, with that, like with the magic thing, and you're saying you haven't messed with it, right? Do you love this guitar just as much as you ever had, kind of thing?
I'm probably having a renaissance because, it was my baby and I gigged it for everything.
Yes.
And then, I got to a point where, like, I got the Strat, and I got the 335, and I had playing some different guitars. And this needed things, right? But I was reluctant to do it to them. And it was one of those cases where I wish I'd done it sooner because I would have played this guitar more. Yeah. But so now with the new pickup, all this stuff, lately I've been like, man, forget how good my telly is. I just play my telly a lot. So I've played telly a lot.
I mean, it looks great too. You can't see it on the camera, which sucks, but there's a kind of wear to it at this point where like the paint has this really cool check-in that is like almost
it's like rippled lifted. Almost. It's lifted.
But in a cool way, like it looks great. It's like, whoa.
Now, and this guitar is a good example, right? Because like it was a relic when I got it, so it had a lot of wear. But I can look at pictures; it's worn a ton. You know what I mean? Like especially.
I was gonna say, I remember
the fretboard was nowhere near this worn.
It had lacquer on the fretboard up here whenever I met you. Not to be all up in your face.
And once it started going away,
it's gone.
Went away. But I mean, that's really cool, And I don't like clean my fretboard or anything, but I mean, I guess I'm heavy-handed enough that I hit it.
Now, are there any marks on it that came from, like you remember the events? Because I've got stuff on this that I know.
There's like, if you can see how that screw is like,
it's kind of angled.
It's because at one point I broke that screw off in the wood. And so I had to screw around it. So there's another screw down there. And it bothered me so bad for the longest time. But that's why this never really goes flush anymore. There's a thing there. Yeah. So like it's little things like that. Some of that stuff I remember it like starting because there used to be paint on those things, right? But I mean, like I don't know of any particular. Well, I tore the stupid decal playing at a dumb songwriter thing for some friends of mine one time, and I was using one of those stupid god awful Diodario, the little tiny ones.
Yeah, I know it
because they're that little, and it's great design because it can be right there and you can barely tell you got a clip on, but you got to loosen it before you take it off. It's not the spring loaded thing, right? So one day I just got lazy about it and just went. And the decal, where it says Telecaster.
I think that's sick because when else does that happen?
So I mean, there's just dumb things like that, right? I mean, it does have a new nut. I got a new nut too. Well, I got that a while ago, and then there's actually like there was a weird shim. It just has dumb things, but just that kind of stuff. There was one guy who worked on it one time, and he like stripped. You can tell how bad these screws are stripped because he was using friggin' power tools like a drill. I'm like, bro, like, why would you do such a thing?
Never. I'm a big power tools on guitars. Bad idea. Stop being lazy.
I mean, there's probably some scenarios, but this is not one.
Hell no.
But there's because it was relic enough. There's nothing where I'm just like, put this giant ding in it.
I think that's the thing with this because it's a journeyman. Like it's weird because I can see all the marks. Like I got like weird belt buckle parts in here and stuff.
Well, you can tell you did a lot of that, right? Because like you can tell, like I don't know, you get the sort of look of what it looks like when the custom shop does the.
I just do like dumb stuff too. Like the headstock has like this black shit on it because I used to put that into the ground. We had a viewer come out to one of my shows and he hated that. He told me afterwards. Todd, if you're watching this, he said he's like, "What are you doing?"
Actually, my Falcon right here, right by the stupid, selector switch. I got to a thing one day and there was somebody else running sound for a show I was playing, but they weren't there. They set up the stuff and this was for a private party, and they weren't there. And I had just gotten the Falcon, and I was like, I'm gonna play it, and they did not leave me a mic stand or a clip, and all they had were these wireless microphones, and the way they had it set up, I couldn't run my wired thing. I was very irritated. The private event, which they were paying me a fair amount of money, was about to start, and I was trying to sort of rig you know, like the big old fat wireless mic into the normal mic clip.
He just got the
Dude,
Falcon. This
I
is like
mean,
second gig with it, maybe.
That mic like shot out of there like a friggin' javelin and into the top of my Falcon. And there's a mic grill dent that if you look, you can see the microphone. Like, I mean, you know, it's not horrible.
I remember you messaging me
about
it.
Pissed.
He was pissed.
I mean, if I could have, I was pissed.
Like,
I was not happy.
I think the exact phrase was, "Do you guys know that wireless mics are the stupidest thing ever?"
I was just like, I couldn't go home to the kids and the wife like that. I had to call Sean and the boys at the casino because they would understand.
I don't have anything like that yet, and I better knock on like some wood because the all my stuff is like self-inflicted. Like I got like a recording where I record at in my house. I've got this stand that I just toss this thing in, so it hits this piece on, and I'm like, oh fuck. I was like, well,
but you don't care, right?
It's already there. I'm like,
well,
shit.
But see, here's the thing, right? One of the wonderful things about Relics, love them or hate them, I have never cared about that with this or my Strat. That's the only two custom shops I've owned. But I've had I had a fair amount of Nashes that are Relic, right? And some road worn, you know, like Mexican made fenders.
It's kind of cool though, right?
So I just don't even worry about that because I know structurally they're fine. You know what I mean? But now the Falcon, it was almost good because once I like calmed down like 3 months later, then I didn't even think about playing it hard. You know what I mean? I was just like, it doesn't matter. You know, and then once you get a little bit of wear on it, it's cool. It looks cool. But the first like glaring thing.
Yeah, it's always the first scratch that you're like, son of a bitch. Yeah.
Now here's the thing, like on the Falcon, right? Like it's got the gold kind of like pickup rings and on the pickups, right?
Yeah.
And they turn that horrible green.
Yeah.
And at first it looks pretty nasty. So I'm always in my brain like, do I scrub that off or do I just let it be? No, like on my 335, the pickups look destroyed, the covers. So I just don't even. I just like whatever because it looks cool.
I like that.
I do too. I hate shiny humbuckers. Yeah. Me too. But I like them covered. I just like them nasty and with the patina. Yeah. But the Gretsch, I always go back and forth. I'm like, I don't know.
Man, ye old Gretsch.
Tom says if that were a road spike, he'd get charged $1,000 for it. This is true. I mean, because basically, if I bought a custom shop Falcon with aging, it would be, it'd be the same. But anyways, look at our little green and gold Christmas custom shop.
It's not bad, man.
Green, gold, red.
We got all
it's like all the Christmas colors.
That's right.
So there you go.
Yep, I think it's pretty cool. I think.
What's up, Mr. William Robinson? Been enjoying your videos, man, that you tag us in, and we appreciate that. Put two 16.3K ohm resistance humbuckers in your telly, you'll hear the difference. I'm sure that is probably true.
I had to think about that for a second. It's like,
that's true.
You would.
You would hear the difference. Surrender, you're the man.
What? Lunch on me, dude.
You can all thank Surrender for being kind enough to send us his Falcon. That's the Gibson in the demo. He bought that thing, and I know he's looking forward to getting it, but shipped it to us first. Yes. That is dedication.
That is.
And we appreciate, because you know, without people doing stuff like that, it really helps the channel, and we appreciate that greatly. And I said in the demo that we had some of the best viewers and fans, and we really, really do. So we appreciate that.
You guys are awesome. I'd say the people we've been able to meet a couple of fans in the shop this past, I don't know, I guess like 2 weeks or so. We've had a lot of awesome people though swing by, and it's just been good, good hanging.
For sure.
So if you've come by in the last 2 weeks, just know, from us to you, it means a lot.
There's just so many people. I don't want to call out too many people because I don't want to miss anybody. But like, you know, we talked about Todd Young this morning. I was talking to him this morning too. Awesome. Our buddy Jack is always doing awesome things for us. Jack Stowe, whose finger, thank goodness,
I know. I saw he messaged me about playing guitar, so I was like, okay, he can play guitar. Good.
Which I cannot believe. Like y'all, Jack runs like an automotive school, and they're always like moving engines and rebuilding cars and doing this crazy stuff.
Just the story of like how it happened is like,
bro,
mortifying.
His finger got crushed. God. The bone was coming out of the end and the nail, like in the nail bed, and I mean, it
was like a press. So it was like a machine press that was like bending aluminum, I think, and like cutting.
They were doing a frame for a race car because they do these cool, like I'm talking about, like you're thinking automotive school, like no, I'm talking like
they're not changing oil
because they go to Vegas every year and compete, and their school's always like the best one in the country. So it's like legit, right? And Jack does some. I mean, the projects they do, man, like the cars they build and stuff for the students, it's a killer thing, and I think it's teaching a lot of kids pretty amazing skills. kudos to them as well. But not to be too hippy dippy and loving everybody, but we do. So, but yeah, dude, they were building a race car frame. He said that press it got crushed in between there. I think it got stuck, and oh man, it was horrific.
Don't tell me that. I didn't know that part. Oh God,
horrific looking.
I'm just imagining his hand like he had to.
You know, we had been talking about like guitars, and he was thinking about some things, and I'm like, oh no, you know what I mean? Like he'd been saving for like certain guitars, and I was like, and I was just trying to put myself in that. Oh,
I think everybody can agree. I don't think there's a man on Earth, a human being on Earth, strong enough to admit that the idea of your fingernail coming completely off is something that doesn't send a tinge up your spine. I'm just like, oh.
Well, no, I think when you play guitar, right, and you think about your hand stuff,
yeah,
you know, like I go. My dad is a chicken farmer, and he's getting older, and I take my son every Friday. We go and we help them do random things, and I love it. It's one of my favorite times ever. But sometimes we do random things that they grab, and I just think, boys, I need my fingers. Because if you've ever grown up around a farm, you don't always do things the safest way.
Oh. Well, I mean, even just in general, the stuff that you're doing.
Just reach in there.
I mean.
And I'm just always like, But, and then seeing Jack's finger reinforce that in my brain, I was like, yeah. Because if you play guitar, like, it's one thing to just think about it. If you're a guitar player, and like you love guitar.
A whole nother.
There's a whole nother.
I remember, I never thought about it until my uncle talked junk to me one time down at the boat shop. And I was trying to flip a beam underneath a boat that we had up on Coke bottle jacks. And I just reached my whole arm around the thing underneath this boat. I mean, it's like the stupidest thing I could have done. Just because I'm like, oh, well, if I do this and I rotate it, my whole arm's is like between the boat and the beam. And a Coke bottle jack getting kicked out. That was it. And
but,
he started yelling at me. Yeah.
Well, but when you're young, you do things like that. Like, I used to do things like that and not even think. And now I'm just like, nah, I guess maybe you really do get a little wiser as you get older. But anyways, let's see. We'll trade guitars for chickens. Man, I wish I could trade guitars. I'd have a lot more guitars.
You got that right. That'd be like, I'm going into chicken farming.
40 chickens disappeared today. Like, I don't know what happened.
You think they would do chicken nuggets for Space Echoes?
Probably.
I hope so.
Probably.
So I haven't told you this yet. I think my next conquest over the next, 30 or 40 years is going to be just to own one of each of the models.
Of these things?
Yes.
Well, it's cool that you've got the chorus,
Yes. Well, I got the pedal, right?
The pedal. Right. And then now you got this thing, and I feel like,
And
how many are there? I know there's a 201.
So this is the 201. Right. We got the 101.
There is a 101.
There is a 101.
I know there's a 501. Is there a 3 and a 4?
So there's a 501, a 401, a 301.
Whew.
And then they make a 150. And then I just want to see all the nuanced versions as well, because I know that there's different models from different time periods where they went into.
What about the different tape echoes? Do you care about those? Like, would you like a Benson or like an Echoplex or an Echo Rec, all that stuff?
From what I've seen, price wise, those are just out of the. It's like out of the realm. And honestly, a chorus echo, a 501. Way out of the realm for me.
I saw some of those when I was looking up this.
Yeah.
They're out there too.
And it'd be cool. That's where I say 30 years of like, if I bump into one and it's right and the price is right, I'll be like, cool.
Here's what's wild to me, right? Like, I look inside that thing and I see all the engineering that's going on, right? Yeah. Not just a few diodes. And I think about what this is worth versus a real Klon, and I think it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Because the Klon is worth like about 5 times what you paid for this.
Yes. Yes.
For a pedal, And this thing is like tape in there and the reverb plates and like all this stuff, and it's covered in Tolex.
And just the thought, like what I think is cool about this stuff is the fact that back then this was almost the only way to do this. Like there was no other way other than running tape heads and tape and getting a delay like that. Compared to like a Klon where the guy's like, I'm going to make another one now. It's like, okay.
Let's see. Someone said new guitar releases. Thoughts? There are some new things coming. NAMM obviously is going on. We're obviously not there. We'll have some videos with our thoughts on that. And have some videos dedicated to sort of some of the new releases. What do you got up there, Derek? Positive Grid Spark Live is a 4-channel all-in-one PA. Ooh. Really?
Looks pretty interesting.
So, like, your band can play through it?
Let's see.
Okay, we won't talk. Let it run. I mean, do you really think it's loud enough to gig with?
I mean, I bet it's circa 74 level for acoustic shows.
Well, yeah, but like that's one thing. But to play with a friggin' drummer and a bass player and guitar and vocals. God, that's just not much for that. 150 watts, like solid state, is not that much.
In the realm of live sound, that's like.
I mean, because I gig usually if someone's not running sound for me, typically we're running those two towers that are 1,000 watts a piece. They got a sub and a little mini, the all-in-one Bose looking things, right?
Yeah. I feel like you're not kicking 1,000 at least.
Well, and even that sometimes, if you don't have the right mixer, like if you use the onboard preamps, it's not enough with a band. Like you got to have a mixer, and then I just use them as the mains because they're easy to carry around, and they sound really good when you get them dialed in. I don't know, man. I mean, the idea of that is cool. I just cannot imagine that something that small is actually. I mean, like, be able to plug a few guitars in and vocals. Okay, cool. But I don't know. I'm intrigued though. Derek, when get the casino credit card, let's order one.
Let's get one now.
We gotta do it in the service to the people.
Spark it.
Tom says us sound engineers laughed at that video. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I would love to see an advert that just said, "Same old speakers. We just grabbed some tech and jammed it in there. Enjoy." I mean, that's maybe kind of true. I don't know, but I mean, I will say this. To play the little devil's advocate, everything else from Spark that we've tried, we've been pretty impressed with.
If they've delivered for the money.
Yes.
I just want to hear it how loud it is. Somebody said garage band level. I don't even think it'd be loud enough to jam in your garage.
I don't think so.
Not with drums.
No. And if you got any real amps, like.
God. Well, we talked about that with modelers, man. Modelers are whatever, but you start mixing modelers and real amps. Yeah. It goes to pretty quickly.
And it's like some people in a rehearsal situation, they're like, "Oh, we want to use headphones and stuff." Well, I mean that's good for that if you want to go all in,
Good for the mystery tour.
It would be great for the mystery tour. Dave L says it looks like it would be okay for a solo duo coffee shop gig, nothing beyond. I think I could probably get behind that. I tell you what though, I'm intrigued enough that I want to try it.
Well. You know how I am. I feel like I'm just like a grumpy old man when it comes to technology.
You are.
I just hate technology. And
You're
then
a Luddite.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever the word is, where I just like old stuff, whatever that is, and I just like get obsessive about that. I don't know. Same thing with my phone.
Anyways, so that's it.
I'm going to a flip phone.
Oh, JBL Eon is still better. I mean, I had the JBL, the little Eon 1 Pro for a while and used it for acoustic gigs, but then I actually sold it to my bass player who used it. We used to use it for like side fill sometimes. But now the acoustic amps, circa 74 from Taylor. Is our video out yet? No.
I think tomorrow maybe.
So we did a video on this thing. I will sort of reserve my judgment for when you watch that. I will say this on the thing. It sounded really good. I kind of expected it just to be a rebranded, like every other little acoustic amp. And it kind of is. But they have figured out something to do with the voicing, and I don't know if it's the wood like they say, or if it's the speaker, or what. But it sounds really good. It's gonna be interesting to see if people will pay the price for this thing.
Yeah.
Is it that much better to people? It does come with a cool little coffee table that you could do like charcuterie on if you wanted to. Take the amp on, put some nice meats and cheeses on there. So you got little the things you put the amp feed in. You can put sauces in. Think about it, Sean. I hope Taylor doesn't watch this. I'm getting a phone call. Baxter.
I need an ad right
Get
away
your boys
of salsa and nacho cheese poured into the little
into the circus. I'm surprised Taylor didn't do that. I mean, I don't know. I thought our demo of it sounded really, really good. I was impressed with it.
Looking at it, it looks really nice. That's really dumb to like boil it down to that, but I think it looks really cool.
And it's got that kind of it looks like it should be in someone's living room in the 70s. It really does. Yeah. I mean, I think some people that will appeal to them. Oh, yeah. How much is that thing, Derek? You remember?
It's $1,200.
$1,200. A steal. Plug your T5Z into. I do want to try it with the T. In the demo you'll see it's with a normal Taylor. I do want to try it with some different pickup options and with like a T5 or something like that. But you know, it's got you, and Taylor's pushing that it is a vocal and guitar amp. I don't know.
And also,
I mean, I feel like every acoustic amp can do that at this point. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sure it sounds great that way, and it was loud enough. You know, coffee shop, little bar, little wine bar kind of gig. Some of the breweries you'd get lost in if that was all you had. It's not loud enough for that, probably. But yeah, small place, gig with it all day long. If you want to put that little cool looking thing up there and have that be your monitor and plug into a PA, awesome. Seems like a lot of work.
Great Bluetooth speaker too.
It's got a cool Bluetooth speaker. It's got the auxiliary. I never understood some of the headphone thing on acoustic amps because you're already playing acoustic. I don't know.
I just need that little bit of reverb. That little touch.
Tom says, hell, my pickup truck is cheaper than a 2-rock. I think that's true for a lot of us. You know, whatever. Or the new Slash Magneton. Which we will be getting some of those, by the way. And we're probably going to have some of the Divided by 13 stuff before too long, since now they are owned by 2-rock. Let's you mention them. That I'm actually kind of interested about, and I'm super excited to try the new Baby M80s from Magneton. I know that I keep saying that, but
it's gonna be fun.
Because I actually am.
I'm ready to see them. I'm ready to hold it.
I'm in a small amp thing lately. Started with that dumb video we did of the little mini like Magneton and the old school Skylark and the Fender Champ.
I mean, hey, and after seeing your video and hearing the little Magnetone in it, it's hard not to be lustful, dude. That thing sounded good.
I know.
And the Schwartz.
Yeah.
The Schwartz was really good.
I'm still scheming if I should buy one. I don't know. Taylor released a solid body electric years ago. Where did it go? I know Darian Musk has one. Ever seen one? Oh, the solid body. Yeah, no, for sure. I have played the solid bodies. And for a while they had that thing where you could switch the pick guard really easily, and it was the different pickups. You know, you could switch the pickups out. Taylor did some stuff with solid bodies. In some ways, I think it was a little before their time. In some ways, I just don't think that's Taylor's like brand personality, so people didn't buy it. Do you know what I mean? Like, not to say that like Taylor's not like. I mean, Taylor's makes great acoustic guitars, right? I don't think people see them in that way with the solid body stuff. I don't think it was cool enough for people. Although they were actually really good guitars. Played great. They were intonated great, and it was really they were probably not the first to think of the modular pickup thing, but the first big company that I can think of doing it. But yeah, that all went away, man. And because that time they had the Taylor solid bodies, they had the ones with the pretty woods, the ones that looked a little more planar like a Fender. They had a T3, which was kind of like a 335. You know, you could get it with a Bigsby, and then obviously the normal first T5s that was the hybrid. So I remember all that stuff because that's our job. that's what the things we're supposed to know.
That's what we do.
So no, okay. Jay Ryan says $550 for the Spark thing. Okay, maybe. Hey, that's a good point, right? Like, at least they didn't say this thing it's your full PA. It's $4,000. $550 for something that maybe you can all plug into. Kind of cool. Are they common? If you're talking about the Taylor solid bodies, they were at one point. I see them used every now and again, but I don't see very many of them.
You know what I liked? The Powers guitars. Playing that was good.
You did like it.
I did.
See, I wasn't really a fan.
I got to play.
He's talking about the Andy Powers, CEO of Taylor at the moment.
What you would consider like Taylor's new new electric guitar, sort of. I know it's supposed to be his own business.
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know if you guys know who Terry McInturf. There's a friend of ours who owns quite a few of his guitars and brought in a prototype. I don't know if I'm even supposed to be saying this. I won't say much about it, but I thought it lived in that Powers Guitars world. And to be honest, I enjoyed it a heck of a lot more than the Powers Guitars.
I felt like I could see where it'd be like a little better. Like playing it, I was more inspired.
I don't know if it was better. I just enjoyed it. Yeah, I mean, and to be fair, we didn't. Taylor did not think we should be a Powers dealer.
Yes.
So we were not invited to have Powers Guitars, but the electrics.
I think
So I haven't spent that much time, is what I'm trying to say. You know, so.
The ones that I did get to play though, I was kind of impressed by it. I was like, man, I felt inspired with it. Yeah, like picking them up and playing them. I didn't expect to be. I saw it and I was like, that's definitely not for me. You know.
When
I played it, I was like, damn.
You saying that kind of makes me, because Baxter said the same thing. Baxter enjoyed it, and I think it very much fits Baxter's playing style. You know what I mean? The power stuff. I will say that at one point, I think I can say this now safely, but Taylor brought us into a meeting with Andy Powers. God, this might have been 2020, the last like Winter NAMM that we went to before everything got all crazy with COVID. And it was like this top secret meeting where they showed us some things he wanted to do with arch tops and hollow body guitars. Now, I thought those were cooler than what the Powers thing, and I understand why they made them what they did. And they're obviously really well built. The pickups are really cool. I like the idea of a pickup that's different.
Yep.
But there was a prototype they showed us in that meeting. It was like binding and, like a thin line but fully hollow. Dude, it was that. And I don't think Derek and Baxter, they were like, eh. And I don't think it was something practical. I just thought it looked cool. I thought it was cool guitar.
That's okay, too.
But, obviously, what we got is where they ended up. So, But there might be more things down the road.
Yeah. I wonder if that is just a small venture, if it's some more. I'd be interested to see if it's some more.
We shall see. I mean, because I don't know. It'd be jazz guitars, man, or maybe something that if somebody took them and modernized them and made them all great, the intonation was great, and they projected a little more. Yeah. Maybe that's something where Taylor would really shine.
I can see that.
You know
it
what
would
I mean?
Be cool to see them come out with something that is super mellow, dark, because they're just known for that bright.
The
sound.
bright thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, they're very much an engineering company in my brain, like the class stuff and
agree.
So I could see them taking on something that actually needs a modern.
Yes.
Refresh, like an update.
Yeah. So. And I think jazz guitars absolutely could use a little.
Well, you got dudes playing like the Julian Lage guy. You know what I mean? He's got that calling. I'd like to play one. I haven't played one of those. It's based on his like an old duojet kind of Gretsch thing. Have you put hands on one of those?
No, I have not.
They look and sound amazing from the online stuff I've seen.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, I haven't held one. I think our buddy Aiden has, but
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that's kind of catching on a little bit. So
that'd be cool.
I don't know. Maybe something in that world. Anyways, anything else new and fun and exciting that we need to cover before we go do real work for the day?
Guild Electric, guys. Thoughts? Polera?
I don't know. Listen. I love the idea of Guild guitars. I used to horribly lust after a Starfire. I mean, I'm talking horribly, right? And what was the Bluesbird, the Les Paul thing? For a while I thought, screw Les Pauls, I'm going to be different. I'm going to play a Guild. People are going to like it. It's going to be my thing. And I just want them to be amazing. I'm not sure they are yet. Now, and my info and my impression of that is a little outdated because I wrote them off a while ago. And they could be way better now, right? And I have some friends who have vintage Starfires, man. God, they're cool, And that I would love to have. But I just let me tell you a story. Let's have a story time. Well, last story, then we'll go. So not long after I moved back to North Carolina, I had an old Taylor that had been like my workhorse guitar for years. And I sold that thing. And then I got here, and when I wasn't I was still playing some on the road, but I was starting to do acoustic gig, like solo gigs by myself. And I was like, man, I need an acoustic because I was doing them all with this guitar, which is actually a lot of fun. If you haven't done a solo gig with electric, you should do it. It's fun. I don't know if the crowd enjoys it, but I enjoy it, and that's all that matters. I'm getting that same $200 either way.
Piss on them. Piss on them.
Anyways. anyways, so I'm thinking to myself, like, I need a guitar, right? And I didn't want to spend a ton of money. And the old Sweetwater card got me, and I ordered myself a Guild. You know what it was too? I had ordered a Helix for a specific gig. The gig kind of fell through. I returned the Helix to Sweetwater, and I was like, oh, I got this credit. And so I bought a Guild acoustic. That's how it happened. Because I was trying to think, why didn't I buy one from Casino? Like, you know what I mean? But that was why. That was why I did that. So I get this Guild. I had it for like a week or so. And I was like, it's fine. It's okay. It's an okay acoustic electric, you know? And I took this fill-in gig with this girl artist who sings around town. And we're playing at this local venue, the Jefferson. Yeah. This was back when Jefferson started music. Anyways. Yeah. First set, first night, I'm out playing this guitar. I'm standing there playing. And all of a sudden, it sounded like a gunshot. And I was like, kind of like, what is happening? Everybody's looking around. And then all of a sudden, it was like my guitar. It was like the strings were laying on the fretboard. And I was like, this isn't right. Something's not right. Now, the girl that I was playing for, she doesn't play. So there's no other guitar going, right? Well, the bridge had split in half so violently, like this way, you know, that it shot out and the saddle went flying. And I was like, I couldn't even find the other half of it. So, Sweetwater took it back. And I think I bought another Helix. I don't remember, but after that, I was like, eh. And now, listen, I understand that any company could have a bad,
Oh yeah,
just a bad, right? Oh, this one got passed, or it was just a fluke.
Somebody had a case of the Mondays. That's all.
Or it's Friday afternoon. Hey, got to get to that T Swift concert. Throw that saddle in. Let's call it a day. Whatever. I don't care. But I just felt like that was the last straw in a series of
that would probably
unfortunate modern. Now, old Guilds, awesome. Derek loves Guilds. He's got some cool old Guilds. He just got a new old Guild acoustic not too long ago. It actually was really inexpensive. It was actually a gift from one of our wonderful fans, and
over at the Roo.
It's at the Rooster. Is killer.
Well, Derek's other guild that's been at the Roo since day one that everybody
loves.
I still feel like everybody plays that guitar whenever they come through, at least for one reason or another. And everybody loves it. I love it. I love mixing that guitar.
I love it. Well,
sounds great.
I want to say to Guild what I feel like people said to Gibson for a long time. Hey, you got these amazing like lineage of old things. Just make those. Guild, please.
Just do it.
Just make your great old things like you made them when they were great.
Go and buy 10 of them, tear them apart, reconstruct them.
Can't be that hard.
It can't be. It cannot be.
Because I do love Guild.
Yeah. Well, it's like whenever they talk about, like, we don't know how to do this because it's been lost to time. I'm like, come on.
Like going to the moon.
We got the science, dude.
Maybe.
If you believe they put a man on the moon,
So anyways, we're going to leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell. New videos coming out. Don't miss the Circa 74 video tomorrow. I think you'll actually be surprised.
It'll be really good.
Thanks for watching the Falcon video. We love you all. Goodbye.